All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on the Wrestling Juggernauts channel. Now, Jerry, I don't know if you heard this there. I don't know if you done hoid this, but I was reading some wrestling news. Let me try that again, Jerry. It's been too long there. Been reading some of that wrestling news. There you go. Was reading some of that wrestling news there, and I saw some stupid stuff there by Cody Rhodes, Jerry, claiming that AEW isn't going to rely on storylines. Basically, there people were complaining on Twitter that the women's title match didn't have a story. It's Io Shirai versus somebody, Jerry. I don't know. Nyla Rose. It's against Nyla Rose, yeah. So Io Shirai against Nyla Rose, basically there's zero story to this match or whatever. And fans were complaining, I guess, and somebody asked Cody Rhodes about the lack of storyline for this match. He was on somebody's show or something like this there. And Cody said that the fans are conditioned by WWE to believe that you need a story. So apparently now you expect a storyline on a wrestling show for a match there. You're just a victim of WWE's evil conditioning there. You're a victim of WWE's conditioning, and you've been conditioned to believe that you need a story for a match. He says, not every match is going to need like a war and peace kind of thing. And it's okay to have, matches, random matches on Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite with no story or whatever. But for the women's world title on the pay-per-view, shouldn't there be something at least there? You know what I mean? But according to him, if you think this match deserves a story, you've been conditioned by the evil machine there to to believe that you need storylines. I think this is fucking ridiculous there.
Yeah.
It's not just a random match on Dark. It's a pay-per-view women's title match. Apparently, they respect the tag teams over there. I guess the women isn't good enough, Jerry, or something. The women, they don't need a story. You've been brainwashed by McMahon. Who needs a story? First of all, they don't know how to write stories. That's the problem, Jerry.
No, they don't.
They don't know how to write him. They're not talented enough to come up with real stories. According to these fans, WWE stories are terrible, and AEW storylines are so majestic, even though they're pretty much non-existent. These are majestic stories, and but here you have Cody Rhodes telling you that they don't need storylines. I don't know. Storylines have always existed in wrestling. Maybe not every single match or whatever, but you have storylines. It's not just WWE brainwashing people. This is all of wrestling has storylines of some sort. There's at least something for the women's title match. Usually there's at least some kind of stuff happening for it there. It's not just WWE conditioning the crowd there, putting bad ideas in the heads of the fans. It's like this throughout all of wrestling. For this goofy moron there to say that they don't need storyline in wrestling, it's like saying that you don't need a story in a movie. You know what I mean? Let's just film something. You've been conditioned by Hollywood to think you need a story for this movie, but you don't. Just have somebody stand there for 2 hours going like this there. That'll be good enough. You don't need story in the movie or a TV show. That's strange. I understand indie wrestling. They don't have stories because they don't have a TV show. Sometimes they wrestle once a month or something there. But they have a show. They have a show. For some reason, the stories are on BTE. They're not even on the show. You should have watched BTE so you understand. Shouldn't you have story on the show itself there? Fucking retard. Fucking
There goes monetization.
What do you think it is, Jerry? Fuck.
Well, the thing is, I heard this news, and it's just it's so ridiculous. Basic storytelling has been going around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Wrestling is essentially, in order for a good promotion or anything to succeed, it needs storylines. You look at what happened with Morrow and his blonde-haired fucking dumbass. The storyline premise was because somebody broke his arcade game. So this man went from a badass Bulgarian to a man crying over someone breaking a video game. This is totally ridiculous, and this is what I'm saying, and this is the problem with AEW. There is no really good storytelling. There's none. These people said, AEW's got essential storytelling. You're full of absolute fucking shit, you fucking idiots. You're absolutely full of absolute dog shit, you fucking idiots. These people are doing my goddamn head in. They're all the time fucking coming, and AEW's absolutely... It's not amazing. Stop lying to yourselves that this thing is amazing. It is not amazing. Okay, I'm not going to outright bash it and say, as you know yourself, WJ, I'm very down the middle with this. But I have to call it like it is. The storylines aren't great. Okay, what's the premise of Chris Jericho and Ethan Carter? What would you call him again? MJF? The Miz Light, as I like to call him. Miz Light, because he's not that good. I'm sorry. At the start, this MJF guy was pretty decent. On the other hand, though, currently now, I don't actually I think he's doing essentially the basic stuff that what a heel should do, but trying to get himself over as a face. It comes off incredibly corny. It doesn't present itself on television. If you look at what's going on with the Chris Jericho MJF thing, the storyline is that he went for a steak dinner. Okay, why? There's no explanation to any of these storylines. Kenny Omega, all these indie fans that are saying that Kenny Omega is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, how come he's not in any decent storyline? How come he's sitting there, he's getting his ass whipped whenever this whole company started? They didn't build him. And how come they haven't done anything with him? And don't give me this horse shit that they're bringing back the cleaner, guys. They should have done it from day one. They should have done it from day one. If you want the Kenny Omega that everybody likes, put him in there. Put him in so people can watch it. But they're not doing that because Cody Rhodes, dumbass, doesn't know what storylines are. Oh yeah, guys, let's just put them together and see what happens. This isn't WWE Superstars. This is an actual company. You need basic storytelling. It's as old as history itself. Beginning, middle, end. That's how a storyline works. I'm not saying that you should do everything that WWE does. I applaud AEW if they do anything different. But guess what? They haven't done anything different. They ripped off the Kevin Owens storyline. Literally, how many times? Oh, Chris Jericho's best friends with this guy. Chris Jericho's got his Backstreet Boys background band in there. Basic storytelling. There's no storytelling in any of these goddamn stories. It's just ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. I'm back, WJ. I'm back.
Yes. Well, it's true. There's no real stories like FTR and Young Bucks. Even the AEW fanboys themselves, some of them are complaining about it. See, that the story just became weird out of nowhere. The Young Bucks just start super kicking people, and acting like fucking stuck-up bitches or something, and then they just have a match for the tag team title. And out of nowhere, they say if we don't win, we never challenge again or whatever. So there's no real story. Like, they were being buddies with FTR, breaking up fights. Then they start doing this shit where they kick people for a few weeks. And now they're doing weird promos that doesn't come off looking good. So where's the big story for this? There's none. And like I said before, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, it was just weird, moody stuff. Hangman Page was moody and he was drinking. I'm not hanging out with you guys. It was that, the story. They weren't hanging out with each other, and and they broke up the team, but they never fought each other right away, and they end up fighting in the tournament. Oh, WWE conditioned you to believe every team needs to split up and fight each other, and well, they're fighting anyway. They're wrestling anyway. Why not fucking have a big thing to stop the team? The team's already done. They're having a match. Why not do it right? With like a story and a build up, and one attack the other, and they're pissed off, and it's just weird shit. They're in the team in the tournament, and they're wrestling. So who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? There's no story.
It's exactly the same thing of what they did with New Japan with the Bullet Club, right? They did exactly the same thing. When Cody Rhodes came in, they did this whole Cody Rhodes doesn't like Kenny Omega thing. And then they start, like, in order to, apparently this is also another thing, in order to understand certain storylines, not only do you need to watch AEW, but you apparently need to watch their YouTube channel, which is just, I mean, it's just ridiculous to me. And then I seen the whole thing that they did in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, unfortunately. God save my soul. But I watched some of the stuff that they were doing with the whole Bullet Club thing, and it's exactly what they're doing with AEW, but even worse than what they did in New Japan. So what they did is that they'd have these guys together, calling each other out, no, man, I'm the leader, and oh, man, can't we all be friends? Like, you got the Young Bucks in the hallway. We're friends, guys. We're friends. Like, that's not storytelling. It's not story. And like you said with the super kick thing and stuff like that, that's been done 100 times by the guy who made the super kick more popular, Shawn Michaels. Do you remember when Triple H and Shawn Michaels were doing the whole thing where Shawn Michaels was too busy like super kicking everyone? He was kicking referees and all, and they had to like stop him and stuff. Do you remember that in WWF? Or WWE?
I remember Michaels doing the surprise kick to people backstage too. Yeah. There's nothing original there. The Mike Tyson thing was a complete ripoff.
Tyson fell asleep. Tyson fell asleep.
Yeah. Dumping orange juice from the top or whatever is just like WWE DX stuff when liquid fell from the top. They got nothing original, these guys. They got nothing. It's like just indie shit. They're a tournament, whatever. It's a tournament with good wrestling. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? You need stories. People remember Randy Savage winning the big tournament for the world title, let's say. They don't remember fucking shitty tournaments on the indie scene with good wrestling, and it's about character, it's about stories. It's not just fucking goofs thinking they're doing great wrestling to please Meltzer. That's not what wrestling is supposed to be. It's supposed to be real wrestling with selling and facial expressions and stuff like this. Not just little nerds fucking doing the same stuff in every fucking match. You know what I mean? For 30 minutes a match. It gets old real quick. The same shit there. Just always attempting to do a Meltzer 5-star match. It's getting pretty lame, the whole thing. And this is just a formula that they ripped off from people who had good matches in the past, let's say, just doing it with indie bums, the same match that they're ripping off from the past over and over and over and over again for 30 minutes. It's been done there. Fuck.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, is that, like, you know, as I said, you know, like, there's a reason why people critique these guys whenever they were training in other wrestling. Like, remember when they started off training back in the day and they said, hey, don't do that. Actually tell a story in the ring. But it's like, quick. Like, everything has to be like this. And I even said this as well. That can actually be a danger to people's health. All this talk, apparently, WWE, and I'm not defending WWE either, because they're very much guilty of it as well. But all this talk that WWE wants to hurt people and wants to destroy people's careers and stuff, you only need to look at what we mentioned earlier, WJ, about that match where that fella was lying on the ground and the referee didn't call it. There was a match where it was a tag team. The Young Bucks were in it. The Young Bucks were going, like, it's here to this guy. He's like fucking unconscious on the ground and stuff like that. Referee didn't call it. And because of these style of matches, someone's going to get hurt. I'm calling it right now, WJ. In about a year or two, a lot of these guys are going to get injured. And what's going to happen is that a lot of these guys are going to get injured, and that roster is going to be very thin. And they're eventually going to have to fucking focus on this T-Rex guy. Well, I forget his name, the Luchasaurus guy. And the thing is, the Luchasaurus guy, see if he actually dropped that gimmick. He's actually a half-decent wrestler. I actually seen his stuff without it as well. I've seen his stuff actually in the ring. It's actually good. Now, he's done the Luchasaurus thing in the indies as well. But personally, for me, I felt, from my perspective, whenever he came into the AEW, I would have actually liked for them to drop that gimmick and actually have him do something for real. Like, he's an actual decent wrestler. He's a big guy, but he's also fast as well. And he's not like, you know, what's the word for it? Like, you know, like speedy, like the bloody Young Bucks, where they're not telling stuff in the ring. The guy is actually a good wrestler. I thought they were going to do that. They didn't do it. They just stuck him with Jungle Boy. You know, there's potential there, but they're just not doing anything. And they're so hell-bent on like, the women's division is nothing short of a goddamn joke. The women's division in AEW is an absolute joke. And like, I think even AEW fans have agreed. Like, I thought, Cody Rhodes' wife was going to do this with the women's division? She's done nothing. She's done nothing in a storyline perspective. The only thing I've seen that they've done with the women is Tony, what you call him? Tony Schiavone? Tony Schiavone in a spa, getting a spa treatment with another woman.
With Britt Baker, yeah, that's a little funny, that stuff, yeah.
It's like, it's funny, but there's no storylines between the women.
There's no story. It's just her doing stuff with Shivani for the past 6 months. She's not really, well, she had a story with some girl, Big Swole or whatever there, but it's mostly her and Shivani doing a shtick of some sort there. I don't know where this is supposed to go at some point there, but but like her, she should have been fighting for the women's belt. But instead, they just want to put it on unknown Japanese female wrestlers because Kenny Omega was in Japan and he brings female Japanese wrestlers that nobody knows or whatever. So because they're Japanese, you're supposed to like him because you're an indie fan. You like all Japanese, but really it's not working there. You know what I mean?
It makes no sense. Like, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, if AEW continues to do what they're doing, they're going to go down the shitter. They're barely hitting 1 million views. And please don't come off with this, they've only just started stuff. I came up with that excuse at the start. I says, look, they've only started off. They're a year in. It's actually over a year now. They're in. We can now rightfully judge it. And by the judging of it, they said it was going to be different. Cody Rhodes even said it isn't going to be overrun by a bunch of WWE guys. Their first world champion was a former WWE guy. Their current world champion is a former WWE guy. You got more. TNT
champ is a former WWE guy. The tag team champs are former WWE guys. What else do they have, right? Once they start putting the belt on the popcorns, the ratings will go down, and they know that. So
Yeah. And I think they need to lay off the WWE bashing because that's what's turning people away. Look, I get it. You can take the piss out of another company. You can do it like a one-off thing as a joke where you get a pop, but don't do it in every single show. Every single show I've seen, and this is like, oh, we're not entertainment here. Like, you got that right. You're not entertainment. It's ridiculous to me. And I think, honestly, Tony Khan needs to sit with these guys and say, look, can we stop with the WWE bashing? It was cool at the start, but maybe we should just leave it. Maybe just focus on our actual... If they actually focused on their product, focused on storylines, they could do something with it. But you got Orange Cassidy competing against Chris Jericho. You got essentially the James Ellsworth of AEW competing against... like,
there's a lot of James Ellsworths in AEW.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Half the roster are fucking James Ellsworth kind of guys. It's just weird indie guys. There's a bunch of those. Fuck.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're 20 minutes in. What do you think? You think that's the end of the video, WJ?
That's the end of it. I think what Cody Rhodes said was pretty dumb, and it just a cheap cop-out. How come there's no story for the women's match? Well, you've been conditioned from the WWE. You know what I mean? When his daddy was booking shows, they had stories for the matches. That's just a weird, shitty cop-out from a shitty EVP of a shitty company, a subpar company, would make a comment like this that you don't need storylines for matches. We won't rely on that. Like if relying on storyline is somehow a bad thing, and WWE's did a bad thing by conditioning people for storyline. You know what I mean? That's part of the show. It's part of the show to make WWE sound bad for doing storylines, and they're not going to rely on that. We're above that, us doing storyline. We're above them. We won't rely on that. What the fuck is that? The fucking retard mentality this company. Like, and Tony Khan, he lets all of this go because, like people say, he's a big mark. I see a big goofball there. Hey guys, we had the best show of the night, the best show of the year, guys. The best show. It's a fucking looks like a guy on the computer, a big mark nerd, fucking goofball talking about wrestling. When they do their little fucking sports wannabe fucking questions at the end of the show. So I think this was a damn good show, guys. You guys have a good game tonight. Oh yes, this was a very successful show. We had 12 people in the stands. This was a very successful show. I would say one of the best shows of the year, guys.
Full of puppy cat.
Give me a fucking break. The ratings, even their ratings are starting to creep down to 700,000, 800, 700,000. They're doing gimmick shows. They can't crack 1 million or whatever. Yeah, it's starting to go down, and I see guys on Twitter, it's a thing every week, the fanboys. How can every episode be the best episode? These guys are retard, the indie fan. It's just saying retard stuff, writing retard stuff, and just agreeing with each other. Oh, you bought a $25 shirt, Jericho says the GOAT on it, a black shirt with 7 letters, the GOAT. You bought that for $35, so you're so cool. Look, I bought a t-shirt of Zach Gowen from The Independent. It's Zach Gowen with his leg missing for $50. We're so cool, guys. No, you're a bunch of fucking virgin goof fucking geeks. is what you are with no fucking lives whatsoever is what you are there, but whatever. You're so fucking cool there. You like Japanese wrestling. Oh, watch out there.
Whoa.
Watch out there, fuck.
Oh, fuck.
So
Well,
that's
do you want to sign us out?
fuck. Fuck off, you fucking moron, fucking losers. Fuck. Feels good to be back, Jerry. AEW fans, you're welcome here too.
We don't discriminate, guys.
We're gonna give you some reviews of the product. Sometimes I'm harsh, but hey, Jerry's a nice guy. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Nice guy. So yeah. Until next time. Peace.